Warning, this Sony's gamer includes a lot of bad words. Cover your mother***ing ears.
Good evening and welcome to episode 128 of the Stone Age Gamer podcast for the week of December 2nd, 2016. I'm Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Dan Ryan.
I certainly am. I have all your CDs in my truck. I won't give them back. I wear your shirts to sleep because they smell like you.
We've got a fun little discussion lined up tonight, which we'll tell you about in a minute. But before we get to that, here's your weekly reminder that you can email us at mail@geekade.com and let us know what you think of our show, what topics you would like us to discuss in the future, or just say hello, because we always want to hear from you, the listener. I am a tad under the weather. I'm actually feeling better, but my voice is kind of on its way out, so if I start sounding like I'm going through puberty, it's entirely possible that I am.
It's about time. Jesus.
I have two kids. How did I pull this off?
Kris, Karen and I have been meaning to tell you something. There's something you should know. They're Evans.
Anyway.
That's what we've been meaning to tell you. They're Evans' children. Ah.
Who knew? You did.
I did. And Karen.
So
and Evans,
Dan,
actually.
how are you?
Kris, it's it's about to be the Christmas season. And I fucking love Christmas.
As do I.
Like I really like not enough to have a Christmas room in my house, but almost that much. Like almost enough to have a room dedicated year-round to fucking Santa Claus.
Ew.
I know, right? Like, that's weird. It's creepy. I know it's creepy. But it's
disturbing.
I mean, it's just such a wonderful, wonderful time of the year. And
it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Well, it is the most wonderful time of the year, as the song would let you know. But on top of that, the Sony announced today their free PlayStation Plus lineup of games coming in December. And next Tuesday, I will be able to download for my Vita, absolutely free of charge, VVVVV.
Nice.
And I'm pretty fucking excited about it.
That's a great game.
For free, I'm fucking in. It's my favorite four-letter F word.
Fair enough. Yes, I'm also a tremendous Christmas fan. We have our Christmas lights up outside, which is nice. We have a light up snowman, which was destroyed by my son. So now he keeps telling everyone that the snowman is dead. Nice, which is great.
You're raising a very metal child.
Yeah, good times. What is your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh God, my favorite Christmas movie. I'm gonna say some shit, and yeah, I know. I have this image that I like to keep, But when I say that I think my favorite Christmas movie is Love Actually, I don't know what that says about my image.
Well, I have no image. I just did an entire podcast on the Gilmore Girls, and I think Love Actually is a phenomenal movie.
It's the best movie.
It's actually hysterical, like really funny.
It's really funny. It's heartbreaking. It's charming. It's clever. It's a wonderfully done fucking film.
It is.
All
delightful.
of the actors crush it in that movie. Like they're all fantastic. Like it's
Alan frickin' Rickman.
Alan Rickman is fabulous. Rick from fucking Walking Dead.
Liam Neeson's. Liam Neeson's.
Liam Neeson's though. Liam Neeson's a Duggan. It's my shit. I adore that film. I adore that film to little bitty pieces. Other than that, it's like Nightmare Before Christmas, which I consider a Christmas movie and not a Halloween movie. But.
Word. I gotta go with the Muppet Family Christmas, which is the TV special that has every incarnation of the Muppets in it, including Jim Henson himself. It's a
so good,
wonderful movie, and of course, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Sure. Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Yeah.
You know what I want right now? I want my bus. Right here.
Surely. Right here. The big ribbon on his... Okay.
Big fucking rib. Actually, could I amend mine to the Ewoks Christmas special? I would like to. Or the He-Man and She-Ra holiday special. That's my
son
favorite
of a
Christmas
bitch.
movie.
You monster.
I didn't say the Star Wars holiday special. That would make me a fucking monster.
Oh, man. I actually watched that for the first time last year. It is far more brutal than I could have imagined.
Yep, it's worse than you've heard.
Yeah, it really is. It's like those CDI Zelda games. As much as you may think you know how bad it is until you sit down and experience it for yourself, you don't know, man.
It's like the real world. You think you know, but you have no idea.
Word. 12 strangers pick to live in a house. All right.
Kris,
yeah.
We have a really good topic tonight.
We do have a really good topic. Why don't you tell us about what it is that we're doing?
We are talking about so this is stolen completely and totally from NPR, and I have no qualms about admitting that. But
NPR,
they did
big fans of the show.
Yeah, they're huge fans of ours, so we figured we'd throw them a bone. It's a little startup you may have heard of that Ira Glass. That kid's going places. They have a podcast called All Things Considered, and or All Songs Considered, sorry. And it's a music podcast, and they did this really interesting episode where they talked about viewing their relationship with certain musicians or bands or songs as like a relationship with an actual person. And it was just really interesting the way that they went through it. So I thought, why don't we apply that to video game franchises? And that is where we find ourselves this evening. We're going to talk about two different topics. We're going to talk about franchises that we broke up with. We were in a relationship, things were going well, and then, for reasons that will be discussed momentarily, we decided to end that relationship and not go back to it. This is not something that we will maybe dabble in again if we see him at the bar, like, oh, hey, that's a nice new shirt. I like that new shirt. Maybe we'll go over and we'll chat. Nope. This is a complete, clean separation of ourselves and that franchise. And then, in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about franchises that broke up with us. So much like in high school when you were dating somebody and all of a sudden you got that phone call or, fuck it, a note passed to you in school, and it was like, you suck and you smell and we just broke up. You're like, really? What the fuck? I was still doing that. That was still a thing I was doing. Shit. So we're going to talk about franchises that we were still into but just decided they were done with us.
Indeed.
Did I do a good job explaining it?
I think you did a phenomenal job.
Okay.
Yeah.
If not, go listen to NPR.
Should we talk like we're on NPR for the rest of the night?
We should.
We should.
So, Kris, the games that we're going to talk about are... No, I can't do that shit.
That actually seems to take an awful lot of energy to talk that monotone.
It really does. Fucking maddening.
Newfound respect for NPR. Way to go, guys.
Right? So, Kris, why don't you lead us off? What is a franchise that you broke up with and won't go back to?
Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Yes, Mortal Kombat. I was a just absolutely humongous Mortal Kombat fan when the franchise started. First time I saw Mortal Kombat was in the arcade. I was on vacation at Cherrystone Campground in Virginia, and I went into the arcade that was on the campground, and in the corner of the room there was just there was a crowd of kids and this really, really loud noise, and it was just this loud boom, 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 and I made my way through the crowd enough to see the screen, and it was somebody had gotten to Goro, and he was the first person to get to Goro on this machine.
Oh, no shit.
And
Goro
was
had
just like,
grabbed him.
Oh my god, what is happening right now?
Fuck out of his chest.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was so loud, and when I finally got to play it, I loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the moves. I loved the absurdity of the blood. I loved the ridiculous story. And
I loved how real it looked.
Exactly. Like, it was photographs of people. Like, it was real people dressed up in goofy ass costumes. And more than anything, I really enjoyed the mechanics. Like, it's a very simple fighting game, but it's not
really
Street Fighter.
well balanced.
It was fun. It was really fun. I liked doing the moves, the whole thing with the fatalities, the pit, all the mythology surrounding it, like the rumors about Ermac being in the first arcade machine and stuff, and
Reptile and
finding Reptile.
So cool.
And then Mortal Kombat 2 drops. No, before we go there, then the home console versions come out, and I was a big Nintendo kid, obviously, at the time, and I had my Super Nintendo version, which I was perfectly happy with because I didn't play the game for the blood. I played it because it was fun, and I always thought that the Super Nintendo one played better than the Genesis one. But the Genesis one, of course, had the blood, and I went to my friend Greg's house and played it, and I loved Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2 was absolutely incredible. Mortal Kombat 3 started to rub me the wrong way. I was like, I don't know, Mortal Kombat 3.
I don't know.
But then they did Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and they put the ninjas back in, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was great. And then Mortal Kombat Trilogy came out, and I was like, yes, this is amazing. Now, of course, there is no flawless version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Like,
no.
The N64 one's great, except it has no loading time. It looks great, but it's missing a whole crap load of characters and alternate costumes. The PlayStation and Saturn ones, they have all the costumes and stuff, but the loading times are stupid ridiculous. So the theory of Mortal Kombat Trilogy was great, but after that, it started to kind of take a bit of a turn. Mortal Kombat 4 was a really fun rental, but that whole era of gaming, I've gone on record many times as saying that the 64 32-bit era of gaming I do not care for. It's all very ugly, and Mortal Kombat 4 was kind of fun, but then when they did the real revamp, that was when I really lost it with them. When they did Mortal Kombat, I think it was Deadly Alliance, the PlayStation 2 and Xbox One. Yes. And GameCube. I cannot stand the way they animate their characters. Everybody is just over-animated to just an obscene degree. Nobody stands like that. Everything moves unnaturally. Everything just talks unnaturally. Everything about it is completely unnatural to me. And I played a handful of iterations since, and like I respect when they did, was it Mortal Kombat 8, I think, when they went back to 2D, but it's not doing it for me. NetherRealm Studios will continue to animate those characters the way that they do and over-design stuff, and there was a certain soul to the original Mortal Kombat stuff, the original Mortal Kombat trilogy, that is just completely lost on modern Mortal Kombat games to me. And I mean, the DC Universe crossover thing, I hated that. I just hated that. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Did you play
Injustice? The
no,
straight up DC
not
one?
much of it. I watched a video of it, and I watched a bunch of people play it in my store back when I had one, and I was like, I can't stand the way these people move. Everyone's flailing their arms. There's something about the way they animate people that just makes them look ridiculous. And Injustice was one of those things that I kind of wanted to like, because it seemed like an interesting prospect. I mean, obviously, a one-on-one fighting game where Superman's fighting the Joker can't make sense. But to an extent, they made it work well enough. I don't know why it works so well in Marvel vs. Capcom. Sure, Sakura can go up against the Juggernaut because the whole game doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous to the extreme. We're fighting in front of a circus tent, for Christ's sake. There's smooth jazz music playing in the background. They didn't even try to pretend there was a story in that.
No.
Mortal Kombat had a mythology to it. Mortal Kombat Mythology is a terrible game.
Awful. Just Mortal Kombat Special Forces. I think that where Mortal Kombat started to lose it was when it stopped being a 70s kung fu film.
Yes, that is exactly right. It started. I'd never thought of it like that. You're absolutely right. The old live-action Mortal Kombat games were such a kung fu movie.
Yeah, they were a Shaw Brothers kung fu movie. Fucking to a T. I mean, the way Shang Tsung looked was just straight up a fucking 70s kung fu evil master, with the fucking long beard and shit. And
then when they made him young, those weird suspenders and shit he was wearing, you would never see that outside of a kung fu movie.
Even the sound of the original Mortal Kombat.
Yes,
Sounds
yes.
like a 70s kung fu film. The fluttering of fabric as they flip through the air is very iconic to that particular genre of film. And that's what they sounded like. I mean, that's why I was drawn to it. Plus the blood, because it was like new and cool. Like,
and it was hysterical.
It was.
The blood was
so over
absolutely.
the top.
The violence in Mortal Kombat was so hilarious because it was. No one could believe that was real. There was not a realistic depiction of violence in any stretch of the imagination.
Like the most realistic depiction of violence in that game is Johnny Cage punching somebody else fucking in the balls. Like that. And the fact that Johnny Cage could not punch Sonya in the balls, like that was just he would just do the split and fucking keep his arms down. That shit was hysterical. But I'm not going to go so far as to say that I would never go back to Mortal Kombat. But I would agree that it has certainly lost its luster. It's kind of like how I used to feel about Cindy Crawford. Right? When I was a kid, this is how fucking old we are.
Go on.
When I was a kid, I had a Cindy Crawford poster in the fucking room. It was the black bathing suit with the jeans jacket, the fucking denim jacket. Oh, yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. And certain listeners of the podcast of a certain age are like, fuck yeah, I had that poster too. And now, as we've gone on, she is still an attractive woman, but I don't have any modern Cindy Crawford posters hanging in my room. One, because I'm married, and that would be weird. But two, it's lost some of the luster, as it were. So,
for me, Mortal Kombat was just a complete betrayal of everything that made it special. And it's really interesting because I've never been able to put my finger on exactly what it is. And the Kung Fu movie thing is perfect. You're absolutely right. That's what it is. And, I just think it's lost its soul, and I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Fair enough. All right, well, let me hit you with one that is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And one of the franchises that I've broken up with and just will never return to is Animal Crossing. Now, when the first Animal Crossing came out and I was in college, it was a really fun time waster in between classes, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved visiting other people's towns. I loved the fucking stupid mechanics of it. I loved the hunting for old video games. I loved the fishing.
That was great.
And like the trying to get furniture that matched and rearranging my house and doing all of this different stuff. And I truly did love the game. And people who know me, Nick, who fucking lived with me, was my roommate at college at the time, like would come back from class and be like, dude, why the fuck are you playing this game again? You're a grown-ass man. Stop playing Animal Crossing. Be like, no, it's fucking fun. I like it. Shut up. And as time went on, like, it was one of those games where one day I didn't turn it on. And then the next day I didn't turn it on. And then like a week went by and I popped it back and I was like, oh, fuck, my town. I got to get, something had happened or whatever. Got to get back to my town. And then there were weeds everywhere and like stuff was just weird. And at that point, I completely dropped it. And as newer iterations of Animal Crossing have come out, I find myself completely disinterested in that sort of virtual life simulation because I have an actual life with like actual furniture that I have to buy and match to my fucking drapes and shit, so looking at, there's nothing in that game for me anymore. And I have made just a complete clean break with it. Never want to go back.
That's interesting. I approached Animal Crossing differently. I skipped versions. Like, I got the DS version. Like, right, obviously I was in love with the GameCube version. Right. But I got the DS version because I was like, oh, cool, portable Animal Crossing. That's neat. And I, played it on the toilet and spent a decent amount of time with it in general. And then the same thing happened with me. One day I just didn't turn it on, and one day led to another, and that was that. And then I skipped the Wii version entirely. I said, I don't need this again. And it was a good long while before the 3DS version came out, and then I played it again. Now, if a new Animal Crossing game comes out for Switch, I'm probably going to skip it. Like, I'm not, I'll do that dance, I'll dance that dance again sometime, but not for a long time. But I will say that, like, I'm willing to go back to that game on a Nintendo platform. I will say that if they release a mobile game of Animal Crossing that's kind of like always running on your phone, that will definitely get me back into it. Because they've done a lot of things with the more recent versions, like to make life, if you've been away from your town for a while, like for example, they just did an update to the 3DS one, which is insane that they did an update to a game like 3 years after its release.
Yeah.
That if you go back to your old town and you don't like it anymore, you can sell it and get a new town. And start from scratch with like a crap ton of bells. Like, okay, that's kind of neat.
That's kind of neat.
And like you
Still
can
not
hire
enough
somebody
to
to pull all
into
your
it.
weeds.
Yeah.
Like there's a guy that'll just, or they make a game out of it. Like if you say you've only been gone for a couple of weeks or something, you go back and there's like 50 some odd weeds, and they kind of make a game out of it. They put a little timer up and the number of weeds that are left, and you have to go find them all. And that was kind of cute. But I get that. I really do. I understand you're not wanting to go back to Animal Crossing. I'm not that guy because it's just so goddamn charming. And I'm curious to see where they go with the franchise, because this last one was so successful for them, like way more than they expected it to be, the 3DS game.
It was New Leaf, right? That was
New Leaf.
The last one? Okay.
Yeah, and then they did Mario Kart DLC that was Animal Crossing themed. They did a whole line of Amiibo. They did the Happy Home Designer. They did the Amiibo Party. Like, they over Animal Crossing, and none of those, like with the exception of the Mario Kart DLC, none of those other games or Amiibo did well.
No, those Amiibo are choking the life out of the Amiibo shelves at your local toy shop currently.
Because for some reason, Nintendo completely misread the market and thought, well, you know what it is? It's not that they're not buying these Amiibo because they're characters they want to have. They're buying them because they're Amiibo. So no matter what we release, if we call it Amiibo, they'll sell. Like,
nope.
No. Nobody cares about Animal Crossing characters in specific. Like,
no.
I would
maybe
consider
KK Slider.
Exactly. I would consider a KK Slider amiibo because he's just fantastic. But outside of that, I don't care about any of these characters. So, I get that. That's a good call. Would you play a mobile game though?
No. The those sorts of games, the completely open world life simulation stuff. Like there's an episode of The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon is going for a walk. And by going for a walk, he, this is an older episode of the show. He's playing Red Dead Redemption. And he's like, needed to clear my head, so I thought I'd go for a walk. And like that sort of like life simulation stuff, I am just completely uninterested in it. I have enough shit going on that when I will play a game, I want to be Lara Croft. We just bought the Rise of the Tomb Raider, that was just recently released for PlayStation 4, Xbox last year, with all the DLC and shit. That game's fucking incredible. It's amazing. There's nothing realistic about it at all. Like, there's not a thing in there that any human could feasibly do. And it's fucking fun. That's what I want. I want to play Shovel Knight. I want to play Street Fighter. I don't want to mow my lawn. Like, it's just not the type of thing I'm into.
Yeah, cool. All right.
So there you go. That's Animal Crossing. Fuck you, Animal Crossing.
Get away from me.
Fuck you, Mr. Rossetti.
All right. Bastard. So, what do you say? We each do one more?
Yeah. What's another one you got?
Kingdom Hearts. Never again.
Never again.
I'm tagging the F out of Kingdom Hearts.
You're not lined up with your pre-order for Kingdom Hearts 2.79362 cubed. or whatever the fuck it's going to be. Before you go on for your explanation, the numbering system in that game is so asshole-ish.
The names of these.
Oh my!
When they
God, it's
released a
awful.
game called Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. No. I'm sorry. You don't get to do that.
Nope. That's fucking stupid.
So, I thought the first Kingdom Hearts was a pretty decent game. It was a good time. I thought Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories was alright. Like, Kingdom Hearts 2 was coming out. It looked great. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories came out for Game Boy Advance. And I was like, I want to get the whole story, and this is a different chunk of the story, so I'm in. I'm okay with anime. I dig anime. And this game was a cross between Disney and anime, like the way the storytelling worked. So I'm playing Chain of Memories, and it's all good until I get to the very end of the game where you needed a randomly spawning card to show up. And I couldn't get it to show up for forever. I still haven't got it to show up. I stopped trying, but I was at this for a week. And everyone I worked with would just be like, oh, come on, give me this. I'll get you that card. And they would play it, and they would stand on my store for an hour, 2 hours. Like, I can't believe this isn't happening. Why aren't you getting this card? I said, I don't know. I had 3 or 4 different people try with my game to get me this one card I needed to move on in the game. It just wouldn't spawn. So I said,
That's awful.
I was so angry. And so I said, screw it. I finally watched the ending on YouTube and moved on with my life. Jumped on to Kingdom Hearts 2. When the first Kingdom Hearts came out, I said, you know what this game needs is a Tron level. And they made one in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I was through the roof. I couldn't believe that was real. Kingdom Hearts 2 was such a fun game. It was a blast to play. It was starting to get a little too anime-ish. Like, lots of weird mysteries, leaving a lot of plot holes all over the place.
Yeah.
It was getting a little too big for its britches, but it was still such a fun game and such an interesting world that I was in. And then they were like, all right, well, when's Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out? Kingdom Hearts 3, it'll be on your PlayStation 2 or something. Kingdom Hearts 3 will be on PlayStation 3. We're going to keep releasing all these other weirdo games. There's Kingdom Hearts Coded and Recoded, and we're going to do a Chain of Memories. Yes, Chain of Memories. The fuck? We're going to put that on PlayStation 2. We're going to make it all 3D and shit. It's going to look really cool, but it's going to be Chain of Memories again. And then we're gonna put it on DS, and we're gonna 3DS. We're gonna call it Dream Drop Distance. Get it? 3Ds. Ha!
We're so clever.
You're so clever. And then it just kept dropping game after game with pretentious title after pretentious title, and then they just kept collecting them and saying, "Oh, we're gonna make a super fancy HD version of this, and then we're gonna release Kingdom Hearts 2.5." And everyone's thinking, yeah, where's Kingdom Hearts 3? No, side stories. We got side stories for days. We're going to tell every side story on the face of the planet. I am outside storied. I no longer care about Naminé and friggin' Sora. I no longer care about any of this crap. Like, I look at Kingdom Hearts now and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty. I don't care. I don't care a lick about the story because I'll never play all these pieces of it.
No.
I'm never going to buy... What is it? What's the new one? Kingdom Hearts 2.8 or something?
Yeah.
Are you freaking serious? Are you serious with me right now? Kingdom Hearts 2.8? What? I just no, I'm out. I'm done. I'm so done with Kingdom Hearts. They have a goddamn Tron level. I can be Goofy in the world of Tron, and you've made me hate you. How dare you do this to me?
How dare you? How very dare you?
How very dare you?
I will do you one better. I never gave a fuck about Kingdom Hearts. I am a guy who loves his Disney movies. I adore Disney movies. However, my favorite Disney movies are not everybody else's favorite Disney movies. Like, my favorite Disney movies are Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone, Black Cauldron, and The Great Mouse Detective.
Good time.
Those are my Disney movies. Like, that's my shit right there. Fucking, like, And then once we start branching off from there, it's like Fox and the Hound and fucking 101 Dalmatians and all that shit. I do not like Mickey or Goofy. Never
Really?
have.
Huh.
Don't like them. I've never seen one Goofy cartoon that made me laugh. I've never seen one Mickey cartoon that made me laugh. I don't fucking like them. I love Donald, mostly because I had an old clamshell VHS tape that I used to watch when I was a kid, and it had an episode of Donald Duck where he owns a house and there's like a leaky faucet and it keeps dripping into the sink, and he goes through all these crazy ways to try and like get the drippy noise to stop. And then there's another episode on there where he goes to like an old carnival and he's looking through like the 3D viewfinder things, and there's like sexy ducks dancing and shit. It's just fucking weird. Like, Donald Duck is great. But Mickey and Goofy I don't give a shit about. So when I saw this game was coming out, I was like, oh, that's really cool for people who are into that shit. I could not care any less. I played through the Nightmare Before Christmas level, and I was like, this is really cool. I don't ever need to do anything with this again. It's just not. It's just not for me. It looks great. The people who are into it are so into it, like
so into it.
The fandom around Kingdom Hearts is an interesting fandom. It's a weird crossover of obsessive anime Disney melded together. It's a very strong fandom. I'm not saying this disparagingly. I watch wrestling still. Like I'm not talking down about anything. We all like what we like. It's a very intense fandom. Not every property has people that love it this hard.
Yeah.
And fuck, the Kingdom Hearts fans love that shit hard.
Yes.
But I'm with you. I think that is an excellent choice of, we are just broken up. I am done.
I'm out.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. I mean, how many times can you get cheated on and go back?
You know what? That's the thing. And that's the thing that really bugs me. Is Kingdom Hearts 2, like, I was still game. Well, if Kingdom Hearts 3 had come out after Kingdom Hearts 2, I probably would have still been game. But no, they just kept going with this ridiculous bullshit of all these other things they were doing instead of Kingdom Hearts 3. And, Kingdom Hearts 2 was a fun game to play. Like, it had a fun combat system. It was a neat game. But no, you've lost me. All right, Dan, wrap us up. What do you got?
All right, I have two different franchises, but I feel like they're the same thing. And there were two that I was really big into at different points in my life, but now will never purchase another one of their games again. The earlier iteration of this the same sort of thing was Madden. Because I used to buy Madden yearly, and I fucking loved it and played it obsessively, and the franchises and the whole fucking thing. And the other one is Call of Duty. And I feel like they are the same thing. In that...
very similar situations, yes.
They are yearly updated games that change basically nothing, have a following that is among the most annoying of video game followers, and lead to really nothing but negativity at the end of the day. I used to love Madden. Madden was such a fun football game. And then somehow they managed to make the game not fucking fun anymore. And I can't exactly put my finger on what they did to make the game not play well anymore, but it was somewhere around like the 2002, 2003 Madden that I just stopped giving a shit. Like, I had purchased them, and we played them at college, and it was a big thing, and we had big, Madden fucking whatever, people coming over, and we'd play them, and it was great, and it was a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden, Like, and it wasn't just me, it was everyone I knew that played Madden as well just kind of woke up and were collectively just done. Like, that's it. We're out. And like, you worked in video game stores around the same time that I did, Kris, and you know what the Madden fans were like.
I do. I also remember very specifically, like, there used to be competition in that arena, and I feel like Madden went through a weird period of time where EO was just like, "Hey NFL, hook us up," and they're like, "All right, you drive a dump truck full of money to our door, and nobody else is allowed to make football games," and that worked.
It did,
because NFL 2K was right on their heels, man. When Sega dropped NFL, was it, I think 2K5 for $20. And it was just like everyone bought that game because they're like, well, I mean, it's $20. How bad could it be? Oh crap, it's actually fantastic. And that was Sega's way of saying, like, no, we think we have a better football game, so we're gonna prove it to you by selling it for $20 goddamn dollars. And that was amazing. I mean, there was all sorts of competition over the years, and Madden was king of the hill, but Sega was creeping up on them with their 2K series, and then they just bought football. Nobody else could do it anymore, and Madden was the only game in town. And it's been, I mean, they've had a couple of more or less revolutions in the way that they've done the gameplay since, but the fever of Madden after that had always been manufactured, I think, had always felt manufactured by retailers. The game was promoted so heavily, like Madden is a thing. It's a thing that it's an event game. And it seems to be more perpetuated by us as the people behind the counter telling the people on the other end that was the case.
Right.
Because I feel like after the buyout, after 2K stopped, there wasn't any more competition there. A lot of people were disenfranchised with the series, and it just kind of, I don't know. It's always, I mean, it's the football game. Everyone has the football game. I don't know.
Right.
But I've never been into it at all. I used to be really into sports games back in the 8-bit era, like Tecmo Bowl and RBI Baseball and stuff. I love old sports games from Atari and NES era, but I think around 16-bit era is when I started to lose it with them, with the exception of hockey, because NHL 94 is awesome.
Right.
But as they got more realistic, they stopped being games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think what you're saying, the retailer, the hype, the event, again, very similar to Call of Duty. Like, when I started playing Call of Duty, I was like, fuck, this is actually really fun. I don't really like first-person shooters, and I really like this game. I'm having, like, this is fun.
Yeah, I mean, remember when the first Call of Duty dropped, and it was like, it was there to dethrone Medal of Honor. Like, that was a thing. Was Medal of Honor was the World War II shooter, because World War II shooters was a genre.
It really,
and then
it was
Call of Duty
genre.
showed up and basically showed Medal of Honor what was what, and there was a bit of competition for a bit.
And it was so fun
when they did Modern Warfare. Like,
oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of them. I've never enjoyed those games, but boy, did I appreciate up to Modern Warfare. And then when it really got annualized and it became Madden.
It did. It became that event in, like, oh, Call of Duty. Like, dude, I fucking, for Modern Warfare 2, I took off of work and went to the midnight release to buy that shit and played it all fucking night and fucking loved it. And then, like, Black Ops came out and, like, it was like, oh, this fucking, like, this is fun, but I don't know. And then it became annualized, but there were 3 different studios working on it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? And I think after Black Ops 2, I think was the last one I played. And man, I just could not care any less about a new Call of Duty game. Like, the one that came out last year, or it might have even been this year, I don't even know.
Infinite
in
Warfare,
outer space.
Call of Duty in space, yeah.
Yeah, Call of Duty in space, like,
Call of Duty has jumped the shark.
Just don't give a shit, like, at all. I will never go back to it, you know. And I was fucking hardcore into it. Like, I bought an Xbox to play Call of Duty on because the online network was better and like all of that. Like I bought that specifically to play Call of Duty, and I just could not care any less anymore.
Yeah, I think the realest nail in the coffin that series got with me was when a customer asked for CodBlops. Like, I'm sorry, what? Yo, give me the CodBlops, man. I'm like, that sounds like a fish disease. What are you talking about? Call of Duty Black Ops, man. CodBlops. Like,
CodBlops.
People calling it COD to begin with. Just like, stop. Just stop.
COD 4, like, I get COD 4. You know, like, Call of Duty 4, like, it's a lot to say. COD 4 is fine. But CodBlops, like, you fucking sound stupid. Knock it off. Like, you can't say CodBlops.
Stop and then with the CodBlops.
What did you say for CodBlops 2? Did you say CodBlops 2? Did you make
so.
It cool, like
I don't know.
CodBlops Dose?
I stopped paying attention at that point.
CodBlops Tray? Like, what the fuck? I just could not care any less. No. Oh, no, there's zombies in it, and, like, that's fucking fun. No, it's not. Zombie shit sucks. It's not fucking Left 4 Dead. That's the thing. Everybody was like, oh, this is fucking great. No, Left 4 Dead is a great zombie shooter. That Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, those are amazing. If it's not those, it ain't fucking good, man. Like, just stop it. Just stop. And it was the same thing. The fucking tournaments and the massive hype in the event and just, oh, God, no more. No more. Don't care. Don't care. We're done. We're done here.
We're done here. All right, everybody. We're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about franchises that broke up with us and we weren't done with yet. You are listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast on geekade.com, so stick around. And now, here's a look at some of the other original content available right now at geekade.com. First up, the recent intense wrestling matchup between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg that lasted a mere minute and 28 seconds inspired the guys at Ring the Bell to see whether they could be just as entertaining as that match in the same amount of time. Were they successful? I say yes. But you'll be the judge. Check out their latest episode, Ring the Bell Survivor Series 2016, right now on the Geekade YouTube channel.
That match was fucking shocking, by the way.
That episode was hilarious.
It was. They're good people. Next, do you like big names? This month's Artist Avenue features one of the biggest, Frank goddamn Miller. What more is there to say? It's Frank fucking Miller. The legendary artist stopped by the Hubert School to share his journey through the comic book industry with the students. We captured the interview and are delivering it directly to your ears free of charge. Download Artist Avenue Episode 10 Frank Miller. Do it now. It's Frank Miller. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time.
A Ghostbusters reference. Listen, you smell something?
Then, being a parent has inspired me to dive back into my video game collection in search of treasures I can share with my kids. This month, that quest turned up a pair of officially licensed little golden books featuring Nintendo's most beloved heroes. Are they worth a green rupee or a silver one? Find out in Into the Vault, episode 22, Nintendo Golden Books.
Zelda jokes.
Ha ha!
Finally, in case you missed it, Kris and I were honored last week to be joined by author Leonard Herman. He came on the Stone Age Gamer podcast to discuss the latest edition of his comprehensive book, Phoenix 4, The History of the Video Game Industry. Listen in on this fascinating discussion, and as a special bonus for our listeners, get a coupon code to save 20% off Leonard's book. It's Christmas time. It's a great fucking book. Buy it, 20% off. Do it. Just please. Don't miss Stone Age Gamer episode 127, Phoenix Talk with Leonard Herman.
You can catch all this great stuff plus tons of other articles, videos, podcasts, and more right now at geekade.com. And we are back. That was a nice squeak in my voice. Let's see if I can make it through to the end of this episode. So we're back to talk about franchises who broke up with us that we weren't done with yet. I went first last time. Dan, why don't you go? Wait, did I?
Yeah, good. I'm excited. You did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you go first this time. You kick us off.
Advance Wars.
Yeah. Fucking Advance. Where the hell you been?
Come on. The last Advance Wars game came out for the DS in 2008.
It was Days of Ruin, right?
Days of Ruin. Now, Advance Wars really hadn't changed all that much from game to game. It didn't need to. There has not been, I think, arguably, a better strategy RTS type game than Advance Wars. It is the easiest to understand. It does what Nintendo does so well. It presents a concept in a very easy to digest manner, but underneath of that, there is such an incredibly deep and complex game system to get into if you want to. You don't have to. You can still enjoy it just at the base level. But if you get into the game, it is so deep and so good that it breaks my fucking heart that we haven't had a new one in 8 years. A 3D Advance Wars? You fucking kidding? Why is that not a thing that I have?
Because Fire Emblem.
Fuck Fire Emblem.
Fire
right
Emblem
in its ass.
I'm not a huge fan.
Sucks.
I can't get into the game, but I mean, Fire Emblem became a goddamn cash cow for Nintendo, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the same dev team? I think that's why, because they're just pumping out Fire Emblem games.
They should stop pumping out Fire Emblem games because they're not good. That's a problem for me. Man, you and I used to play the shit out of Advance Wars, and fucking, I used to play it against my wife, just passing the Game Boy Advance, the SP back and forth. It was, and I'm not talking I don't need the fucking, the GameCube Battalion Wars or whatever that bullshit was.
That was a spin-off. That was, totally different.
I don't want more of that. Advance Wars is such a beautiful game.
Yeah, it's Intelligent Systems, and they've been doing it since Famicom Wars.
This is a franchise that's been around since the 80s, but we are just on a big, long hiatus, and there was no indication that Days of Ruin would be the end of it. They weren't we're stopping after this. It was just, here's an Advance Wars, and it sold well, as they all did. I don't understand. I thought we were going good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know, because I'm looking at Intelligent Systems' series of releases, and Days of Ruin, then they did Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, a couple of WarioWare games, then it was more Fire Emblem, they did Pushmo, more Fire Emblem, Crashmo, more Fire Emblem, Paper Mario Sticker Star, Fire Emblem Fates, Paper Mario Color Splash. I mean, they've been busy. Oh, they did Codename Steam, too. I forgot that was them. And that was all right. I didn't get to play a lot of it, but Codename Steam was not Advance Wars. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I know you're a big Advance Wars fan, too.
Not a huge Advance Wars fan, no.
I thought you were.
No, I didn't really get into it. I never dedicated the time to learning it.
Well, fair enough.
But I mean, I wanted to learn it. It was one of those games that was on my list of things to really sit down and dedicate time to someday, and I just never got around to it. But
well, don't do it now, because you'll be heartbroken.
Well, I don't know. I got the whole series to play now.
I can do a complete adventure.
I got sequel after sequel to play. It's great.
Oh, God, it's so good, and it's one of those games that the timing of everything is just so perfect. It gets hard right when it should be getting hard. Again, much like the puberty you're going through now.
I was waiting for that.
There you go. The difficulty curve is just perfectly paced. The storyline is great. The characters are great. The different strategies that you can use depending on what type of attack you want to use, like what type of commander you would want to be. Oh God, it's just a beautiful game. Perfect, just a perfect game. And I need more. I wasn't done.
I hear you. All right.
What do you got?
Yeah, let's see. My first one will be Wizards and Warriors.
I had a feeling we were going to get to that at some point in this this discussion.
Wizards and Warriors, man. I love those 3 NES games, and I like the Game Boy game, all right. Fortress of Fear isn't a great game. It's not a bad game. It's just, it's not up to the caliber, but shit, man, especially Iron Sword. Iron Sword's nuts. I love that game. It's just so beautiful in every respect. The sprite work is gorgeous, and this David Wise soundtrack is great. I know Wizards and Warriors 3 had a real tough development cycle, but even in its semi-unfinished form, the game has it introduced a lot of really interesting concepts to the world of Wizards and Warriors. And I was always very curious where that series was going to go once they entered the 16-bit generation. And then it didn't. And Kuros has not been heard from since.
Turns out it went nowhere.
He just left us.
Yeah, that's a weird one, too, because, I mean, it's not often that a game is so successful that you could have Fabio on your cover.
Yeah. Fabio. Big buttery slabs of Fabio.
Big, just giant, sexy hunk of Fabio, all loinclothed up and oily and shit. Fucking awesome.
But
no,
yeah, I mean,
I agree, man. Wizards and Warriors, an amazing game.
Yeah,
absolutely
it was a
amazing
franchise, man. There were 4 goddamn games in that series, and then just stopped.
And that's so odd for that time period too, because if a game was successful on the NES, there was a damn good chance that there was at least going to be a Super Nintendo version.
Mm-hmm.
And
it just didn't happen. I don't know where the rights to this one belong, because I was very surprised when Rare Replay came out and this wasn't on it.
Right.
But this game was developed by Rare, but it was distributed by Acclaim. So I don't know who owns Wizards and Warriors at this point.
Probably Fabio. That fucking Danish bastard. Is he Danish? I don't even know.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, let's go with that. That's fucking white privilege at its best right there, just assuming people are other races.
Phenomenal.
Man. It was such a good game, so fun and so different. Like, there's nothing else like Wizards and Warriors.
Yeah, it's like you're a bouncing knight. It's very much a platformer. It was not for a game called Wizards and Warriors. There's very little combat in it, you know.
There's a decided lack of both Wizards and Warriors.
Except in the third one, when you went to like
is not the best title for a game.
Yeah. But I mean, like the wizard was obviously the villain, which is what a great villain name, Malkill. Come on, that's great, Malkill.
So tough.
I don't know, man. When they introduced the different guilds in Wizards and Warriors 3, Visions of Power, it was just like, it was really interesting. Like, you couldn't go, you would get these, you'd have to go to the guilds to get different outfits, and so you would be able to pass as different people that were welcome in different places, but you were in a kingdom that was essentially at war with itself. Like, you had to be a knight if you were in the castle, because if you showed up as a thief in the castle, people were like, get the fuck out of here. And if you were a wizard in the underground, then the monsters would kind of ignore you. But if you showed up as a knight, they'd be like, there's a knight here, we're monsters, get out.
We're monsters. Bleh. Let's get you.
It was an interesting game, which I have never beaten. It is fucking hard. I can get to the last boss of that game, and I cannot beat Malkill. And it is brutal, because if you die, there's no continues in Wizards of Warriors 3.
No.
And if you die at Malkill, or I think it's pretty much any time in the game, you just wind up as Kuros chained up while Malkill sits on the throne as king and laughs at you, chained up to die. It is ridiculously dark.
Man, if there was like some sort of streaming event where you could possibly try and conquer that game.
Oh boy.
I wonder if such a thing exists.
Petathon 2017. Maybe Wizards and Warriors 3 is going to happen. Jesus. I didn't even think of that one.
I think it could.
I didn't think it could. All right, what do you got next?
All right. It's one we've talked about before, but I am certainly not done with Beautiful Joe.
Oh, good call.
I am not done with that franchise, even a little bit.
I was ready for it to take a break because they were getting a little Capcom-y with it.
Yeah,
just
sure.
Farting them out real quick, but it's been a long time.
It's been quite a while, and like, what is it? The Mighty 101? Is that
Wonderful 101?
Wonderful 101. Sort of in the same spiritual vein, but not even close.
Yeah,
I mean, completely different gameplay styles and whatnot, but
Clover Studios, Platinum Games, this whole thing is sad.
Give me more Beautiful Joe. That when Beautiful Joe came out, there's nothing quite like a Beautiful Joe game.
Mm-mm.
It is such an interesting mix of abilities that a character has, told through the world of like an old movie, like serial almost, the way it was presented.
Mm-hmm.
Just so fucking cool. Like Beautiful Joe, for as over the top and hokey as it is, in a very Capcom kind of fashion, is so cool and looks so interesting. And the speeding up and slowing down, especially the way you could use that to trigger combos and just all the different shit you could do. Such a breath of fresh air into the 3D adventure game stigma that video games have become for so long at that point.
Because it was so bold that it was 2D.
It was 2D and it was cel shaded and it was different and it was oh god, it's just the Beautiful Joe 1 and 2, absolutely incredible. And to think of how those games looked running on a GameCube and a PS2 versus what they could look like now with the effects that could be done, it could be so fucking cool.
It really could. Did you play the DS one?
No, I didn't.
It was pretty good.
It's what I heard.
Yeah.
My DS was pretty much a Castlevania and Advance Wars system at that point. And by the time that game came out, I was just at a point where I didn't really have time for it. But man, like a proper console, like now that I'm sort of settled and stable and, have like a career and shit and have time to come home and dick around for a few hours, like I could be so into that.
Yeah, me too. That's a really, really good call.
But it's been years. Years and years.
He was in Marvel vs. Capcom. That's
right.
Cool.
Marvel vs. Capcom, which we may be getting Marvel vs. Capcom 4 if the teasers are to be believed. Have you seen the teasers?
I have a whole thing on Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I was beyond stoked for MVC3, and I was pretty let down by it in the end. I don't know what it is about it. It didn't click with me. And I didn't enjoy Street Fighter 5. So
I know what it is.
What is it?
It doesn't look right.
That is very true. It doesn't look right.
And it's not the way it animates, and it's not the way it plays, because it animates and plays very well.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't look like a comic book anymore.
It really doesn't look like a comic book. No, you're absolutely right. The visuals are definitely a part of it. I would also say that a big chunk of it was the gameplay itself. It went too far into the trap that MVC2 would fall into, where if you're playing against somebody who knows what they're doing, all it takes is they hit you once, and then you basically just put your controller down and go get a sandwich.
Yeah.
Because like they're just gonna combo you and combo you and combo you, and it just keeps going. And it's like I can't even watch it at Evo. It's freaking boring to watch Marvel vs. Capcom. Like there's every now and then you'll get a neat comeback. That's cool, but for my money, I'm watching Smash or Street Fighter 4. I mean, and that's but the other thing that kind of makes me nervous about MVC4 is that I don't like Street Fighter 5.
Right.
I finally got to put some time into it when I was at Mike Sheridan's house. It's sorry, it doesn't hold any magic to me, and that's the first time a Street Fighter game hasn't. I mean, I loved 3 when it came out. I was enamored with 3, especially when it came to Third Strike. 4 rocked my world, man. I love Street Fighter 4 so much, and all the iterations of it. I thought they did a phenomenal job with Street Fighter 4. And when they started launching Street Fighter 5, I was a little weary because it was PlayStation exclusive, but whatever, these things happen. But I mean, and I liked some of the direction that they were going in, but then the other all the new characters that they've shown off, I think, are garbage. They're just dumb, lazy character designs. I don't care for them. I thought the new characters they added in Street Fighter 4 were way more interesting, and I don't know, it's just not fun. I can't put my finger on it. That game's just not fun. So MVC4, that makes me nervous. Tatsunoko versus Capcom was a step in the right direction, and that's why I was so stoked for MVC3, because TVC was so good. It was great. And I don't know, man, just didn't quite stick. But anyway, that was a tangent.
All right, so Beautiful Joe, what do you got? What's another one?
To continue with the Capcom 5, because the Capcom 5 was the thing. Product number 3.
Oh yeah.
Not done with that. That was a single game that was a really interesting concept with a very cool designed character, and this game is obtuse as hell. I'm not surprised that it wasn't more successful than it was, because this game basically boiled down to a how fast can you press the button shooter, but with some really interesting dodge mechanics. Like, this game was about dancing and shooting, but
it's
not
very
in like
cool.
The Space Channel 5 kind of way. It was like, I don't know, man. This game is really hard to describe, and it doesn't really. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it doesn't look like much on the surface, but once I got the hang of the game, I could not put it down. Like, once it clicked with me and I got what they were doing, it was like, wow, this is really freaking fun. Like, trying to shoot things as fast as you can and go for high scores in each room, and it was really interesting. And I liked the world that they built with it. It wasn't all that diverse, but and that's the thing. Like, I would have loved to see where they would have gone with this character. Vanessa Schneider was a great character design.
It was very cool, and no one gave a shit. That game did not sell at all. I could not talk anybody into buying it. The problem with that game is that Capcom very, very successfully made a treasure game.
Yeah.
Those games don't sell either.
No, they don't.
And I love them, and you love them, and hardcore video game people love them, but nobody else cares.
Yeah.
And for a company like Capcom, when they take a risk like that and it doesn't pay off, they will never touch it again. And that's a huge shame.
Yeah. It was a big missed opportunity with you hate to see it. Like, Capcom gets real franchise happy, and I was sad that this one didn't even get the slightest second chance. It didn't even get. So, like, that's the Capcom 5 was a big debacle to begin with, you know.
That then became the Capcom 4.
Yeah, then it became the Capcom 4, and then it became like, well, actually, none of these games are exclusive to GameCube except product number 3. Like, that was kind of the thing. It just all fell apart, and I don't know, man. Product number 3 is a cool ass game.
It really is, and Capcom was doing really interesting things at that time. Chaos Legion.
Yeah, Chaos Legion was cool.
Really cool game that like nobody played because it wasn't Devil May Cry, so people didn't play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree 100%. Product number 3 was awesome. I have 2 more if we have time.
Let's do them rapid fire. Let's do them quick.
Katamari. I am not done with a proper Katamari game. Not this iPod, iPhone, touchscreen bullshit. Nope. It's not what I'm talking about. Katamari Damacy, one of the most creative and charming and wonderful games that has ever been released. The sequel, just as good. And then it just got weird, which is interesting for a game like Katamari to be able to get weird
in not the great way.
In not a good way, and it just, and there's no chance that it's ever going to come back at this point, I don't think. which is such a damn shame because it was so interesting and so different, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite video game experiences is playing through the first Katamari with completely no expectations of here's this weird $20 game that I'm going to try, and oh my god, it's this incredible thing.
I'm with you on the first one. I didn't care for the second one, and I've never cared for the game since. I will play the first one to this day. It is a magical masterpiece, but everything since then has felt derivative. No Katamari game has kept that magic. In fact, Katamari was on my short list for our first segment of games that I'm just done.
Really?
But I couldn't really say that I'm completely done, because if they managed to make a new Katamari that somehow captured the magic of the first one, then I would be all for it.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss it as a thing.
Yeah.
All right, you got any more?
I have a short stack, so why don't you give me your
All
other one, and then I'll give my short stack.
My last one, and I'm kind of surprised this has never made a comeback anywhere, but Skies of Arcadia.
Wow, yeah, you're right. That's so weird, because it's one of those, it's like Knights, where Sega continuously acknowledges its existence, but refuses to make a new game.
Refuses to do anything with it. And it's wonderful. Skies of Arcadia had its following on the Dreamcast, gained an even bigger following on the GameCube, and then nothing.
Yeah, just stopped. And even the GameCube game was just a remake of the first one.
Right, like it didn't do anything new or different. It was just a remake, but it was such a good game and such a cool world that they built up to just completely ignore. I mean, you see the hype, and I know RPGs are crazy expensive. Like, I can't even imagine the amount of money that Final Fantasy 15 cost Square. And for all the reviews that are coming out, people are saying it's a great game. I don't know. I watched somebody on Twitch. I watched for about 20 minutes, and in that 20-minute time period, I saw them sleep at a hotel, get in their car, get gas, and drive to a mission. Not actually even get to the mission. They had to stop for gas first. And I went, I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I just came in at the wrong part of the stream. But I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about, I don't know. Anyway, but the hype surrounding Final Fantasy, people love RPGs. What happened to Skies of Arcadia?
Sega.
No, well, fuck Sega. Come on, man. Like, I wasn't done.
Yeah,
I could have more of that.
Good one.
You just left.
Well, I'll toss out a couple of mine. First one, similar to what you're talking about. Bat and Kados. Not done with that series. That was an interesting RPG series with a fun card-based mechanic, gorgeous artwork, a little bit of
one of the few fun card-based mechanics.
Yeah, when I heard it was a card-based game, I was like, okay, well, I'm out. And they said, no, give this a try. And I did, and I was like, this is great. This is actually really fun. Bat and Kados Origins, good time. Nintendo exclusive, Namco RPG series, and then it just stopped. And
yep.
I don't know why that didn't keep going, besides the fact that it's got a ridiculous name, but I mean...
It does have a ridiculous name, and it was a Nintendo exclusive. So
yeah, but it did well enough to get a sequel on the GameCube.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Nintendo didn't own that or anything.
No.
The first two games of the series were exclusive to Nintendo platforms. So I don't know why Namco put the kibosh on that one. It's kind of weird. Next one, I wasn't around when it broke up with me. Like, I wasn't aware that it broke up with me because I wasn't aware it existed. But I later found out about it, and I'm sad that Sword Quest broke up with me. Because they're terrible games, but
yeah,
come on, man.
You got to finish that shit.
You couldn't finish all. You couldn't give me Air World. You couldn't make it done.
Oh, so many of our listeners hopefully got the Sword Quest reference, and if they don't, just look it up. There's
wait
not
until,
time to explain.
Wait till Ready Player One comes out. Then everyone's going to know what Sword Quest is.
Yeah, fuck. Maybe then they'll actually finish it.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so these next ones are dead serious that I really, really want more of, and I'm genuinely sad. Battle Clash.
Okay.
This was the Super Scope game. No matter what, if you've ever used a Super Scope on like the Super Scope 6 games that came with it, Battle Clash was the game to play. Battle Clash had a really cool anime-inspired mech world that they built. A pretty silly story. Really fun play mechanics. It was like playing first-person Punch-Out with a gun. This game was nuts, and the sequel was really good too. Although I'm pretty sure I know why the sequel didn't do too well was because they took the word Battle Clash out of it and called it Metal Kombat Falcon's Revenge, I guess, to try to cash in on the Mortal Kombat craze, which was like, come on. But because I didn't know it was a Battle Clash sequel until like I read about it and like Nintendo Power was like, wait, what? This is a Battle Clash sequel? I went out and bought it, and I was, was like, holy crap, this is a sequel. This is great. And, Battle Clash, those games were fantastic. I was genuinely shocked they didn't make a new one for the Wii, because once they had the IR control, like the pointer control, that would have been great. But very sad about that.
I'm with you. That's an excellent choice.
Next up, Elite Beat Agents.
Is that done? I mean, I know there hasn't been one, but
I know it's done. Oendan may get a sequel in Japan someday, but Elite Beat Agents is never happening because that game tanked. And I'm so sad because that game is great. Elite Beat Agents was so good. If you don't know what it is a game about male cheerleaders who help you get through your problems. Of dealing with anything from like studying for a test to getting over your dead father. Like, this game was freaking bananas, but it's so good. It's much like Rhythm Heaven. It is a rhythm game done right. And while I don't think it's as good as Rhythm Heaven, because I think Rhythm Heaven is one of Nintendo's best properties, those games are incredible, Elite Beat Agents was a damn revelation. It was so much fun to play. I'm so sad that it didn't catch on. I wish they would give that franchise another chance, but I'm pretty sure it is dead as a doornail.
Yeah. You're right. It is a shame.
Panzer Dragoon? Particularly Panzer Dragoon Saga? Come on. Really? We're not going to do this anymore? Like, no. Panzer Dragoon Saga is like one of the most expensive Saturn games. It's freaking legendary. It was a great game on a platform nobody had. How did that game not get remade at some point? Like
anything.
Come on, Sega, you have the game. Just remake it, make it look modern. You don't have to touch a damn thing. Just make it look modern. And let people play Panzer Dragoon Saga. You will make it into a killer franchise because the rail shooters are great. I adore them, but you're never going to make rail shooters into a top tier franchise unless you're Star Fox, and even then they managed to screw that up.
Right.
Nintendo screwed that up, for crying out loud. Like,
right.
You're
Nintendo
not gonna,
fucked up Star Fox.
Yeah. You're not going to... Panzer Dragoon Orta was a cool game, but it wasn't going to set the world on fire. Panzer Dragoon Saga was a direction that you should have taken. You should have kept going with that. I'm sad that didn't happen. Panzer Dragoon, what the hell? I'm so sad it left me. And my last one, Star Tropics. I've been talking about this one for years. I've been saying that Retro Studios is making a new Star Tropics game. I predicted every E3, and it never happens. No. They made 2 Star Tropics games for the freaking NES. They're great games. I have no idea why there's not more Star Tropics in the world.
There should be.
There should be.
There really should be.
I want my Mike Jones. I want Zoda. I want those weird Tetris pieces. Just make it happen. Give me more Star Tropics. But it's not going to happen because they left me. They were like, I'm sorry. I'm out.
We're done. We're done here.
We're done.
We've had enough. I know. It's such an interesting thing to look at video games through history and look at these games that were successful, that made money, that people loved, that have a huge following, And for some unknown fuck reason, there's a new Shenmue game coming out that nobody gives a shit about. Like, I understand it got kickstarted, but that doesn't fucking matter to me. Like, I dismiss it out of hand. Perhaps short-sightedly. But are you saying, like, Shenmue can get fucking kickstarted in an hour and Panzer Dragoon and Star Tropics cannot? Like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that to be true.
I'm with you.
It doesn't make any sense. And we are currently in a time where creators and studios have the ability to find out before they make a game whether or not people care. Through things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Like, I don't know, are we interested in a new Shenmue game? I don't know, put it up on Kickstarter. Maybe people are. Oh shit, they are. Let's fucking make it. We're in. You know, like, you could do this with so many franchises. Shit like Star Tropics, like Wizards and Warriors, like like Advance Wars. Put it out. Find out if people care. You know, there's a big difference between, like, the opinion polls that will sometimes pop up on official company websites of, like, hey, would you be interested in a new thing? Versus actually voting with your dollar. It's frustrating. I don't like being broken up with when I don't see it coming.
Seriously.
I do the dumping.
All right, let's call it. It's late and we're tired.
Call it an evening.
That is going to be our show. Join us next week when we'll be continuing our 2-week experiment involving games we love, games we no longer love, and the games we can't go back to. If you liked what we did today, you'll probably like it next week, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me. Once again, you can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com, as well as all flavors of social media that we inhabit. You can like us on Facebook, find us on Instagram @Geekade, subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels for all our latest video content, and follow us on Twitter @the_Geekade. You can find us individually on Twitter. I'm at Geekade Kris, and Dan is at
Geekade Dan.
If you're interested in more information about anything we discussed tonight, be sure to check out our show notes. And while you're at it, you can also subscribe to this and any of our other wonderful podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher, where if you're super nice, you can leave us a review, because any and all feedback is welcome and appreciated. We'd also like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable to all you folks. And we'd also like to thank Mark TDK Knight for our show's theme song. You can check him out on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, or his website, which we have a link to in the show notes. Again, always remember to keep your eyes on geekade.com, where we post something new every single day. That's it. Thank you again for listening. On behalf of myself, Dan, and our invisible guardian angel, Evan, keep playing games.
Guardian angel, huh?
I don't know. I'm pulling this out of my ass.